Welcome to Chronicles of Old Singapore. This is Dr Loh KS, and I speak to people on their memories of Singapore before it became a global city. Do like the video and subscribe for future episodes. This will help the channel a lot. Very happy today to have with us, morning for me and afternoon for him, Mr. Wan Chan Peew. Afternoon, Chan Peew.
Good afternoon, Dr. Loh.
So good to reconnect again. But I think this is the first time that you are kind of like in a wintry situation, right? Compared to the last time.
Yes. Yes.
What's the temperature outside?
Was about 16, I think, or 13.
Okay. It's quite nice to go outside, right? Not too.
Yes.
Is it very windy in your place?
Can be windy. Can be windy.
And
Our
how?
little city
Yeah.
is situated in a valley, you see, between two ranges.
Oh,
So we are like in a funnel.
yeah. The windy is like the things that many Singaporeans cannot tolerate well, right? Are there
Oh,
Singaporeans living in your area?
yes, yes.
Okay.
My immediate neighbor here is a Singaporean family.
Okay. They move around the same time as you?
No, they came over to have their son's tertiary education here. His son is, I think, completed or still completing his aviation degree.
So they are not
And of course,
permanent migrants lah. They are going to go back, are they?
I I'm not sure of their plans.
Right, right.
And we have quite a few Singaporean families here migrated and residing. In fact, currently my church pastor is from Singapore. He's now here for the last close to 9 months now. So we have
Yeah,
a few Singaporeans to mix around. Yeah.
when you came here, were you the first, or were there already Singaporeans?
Oh, there were already.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Was that one of your considerations? You want to be in like a Singaporean
No,
cluster?
no, I didn't even look at that.
Somehow there are still Singaporeans around. You must have been thinking, okay, I can't get away from them, right? All right, Pew, very keen to, I told you about this, talk to you about something I actually missed out in catching up with you again when I did the previous podcast on the Naval Base, which was the school that you went to,
Right.
Tanjong Katong Technical Schools, one of the pioneer technical schools in our country's history. And I just happened to revisit that podcast, and then I found out, oh, hey, you actually talked about the school, and I actually said that I'll come back to it. So here we are to remember this historic old school, a technical school, right, which was then part of our spearhead for Singapore's industrialization program. Like many technical schools, it lost its name and only exists now in the memories and the photographs of the school. So, Tanjong Katong Technical School was established in 1956. I think it was one of two schools, technical schools, that was established in 56. The other one was Queenstown, I think. And then go ahead.
But then they had already two other existing, not fully called technical schools. One was the Boys Town, and then the other one was the Balestier Trade School. During our time, I know of Boys Town Technical. They did have some workshops there, and Balestier Trade School for those who didn't get through the PSLE. Then some of the kids went to join the Balestier Trade School at Thomson Road.
And then in the 60s, a couple more technical schools were established, like Danan Tech. And then in the 70s, of course, there were more. I actually did my technical classes at Kim Seng Technical. So I think that was a bit later. Funny enough, a lot of old Singaporeans who went through those technical schools have fond memories of their schools. And I want to kind of fill this gap, right, in our educational history. Tanjong Katong has become dropped the name technical and is now Tanjong Katong Secondary School. Yeah,
Correct.
which is in official terms lah, right? Considered the matrix, the conventional matrix, considered a successful school. It's still around and is now an autonomous school. So let's go back to the 1950s and 1960s. I mean, you went there. When was it that you went there to study?
I was there in 1960, exactly.
1960, okay.
I finished my PSLE in 1959 and then got posted to Tanjong Katong in 1960.
Right. Now,
Spent the 4 years there to 63.
so I mentioned this to you, right? You were living inside the Naval Base, Kowloon Road, right?
Correct.
So who made this decision that you want to travel to? At the time, it was at Tanjong Katong Road, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. A
How did
short
that-
distance to the intersection of Mountbatten Road. Then,
Who made the decision?
in fact, it was my choice. I don't know. I knew next to nothing about technical studies, but somehow, because some of my neighbors were already attending Queenstown, although there were at least two others who were in Tanjong Katong at the time, whom I did not know. They were there. They're family friends too, but I didn't know of their presence in Tanjong Katong. So when the school offered us to submit our preferences, so I wrote Tanjong Katong first and then followed by Queenstown. I took it home to my dad. I said, this is where I want to go. Say, you sure you want to go there and you think you're okay with it? I said, I don't know. I said, grammar school is so common everywhere, anywhere, So there was
what
one
school was so common everywhere?
grammar. We call it grammar school those
Grammar
days.
schools. Okay.
Yeah. So we had a new school, Naval Base Secondary School, which was built in the late 50s, just next door to my primary school, you see. So I said, quite a common thing for a lot of kids to go into grammar school. So I said, let's try technical school and see what is it like. He said, you get it, you go. So I said, all right.
So you
So we put the
actually
rubber stamp.
did not want to go to like a normal academic school. You wanted to go to a
Correct.
technical school.
Yeah.
Were there no such options in the Naval Base area?
Technical school?
Yes.
For technical studies? No. The only two then was Tanjong Katong and Queenstown.
Right. So you wanted still like I mean, how should I say? The Naval Base had did that time there
Secondary
was no
school?
Was there a technical
No.
the apprentice thing was not something you were looking for.
No, I skipped the apprenticeship scheme. I told you, I think I deliberately failed the exam because I found no prospects after learning a trade there, you see.
Oh, did you? Did you deliberately fail that?
Yeah. My father wanted me to join after when I was in Tanjong Katong, I think it was the second year. The dockyard was open again for apprenticeship scheme. So he asked me, why don't you just go and try and do the apprentices? He said, a lot of your friends here playing football with you are inside there. Then I challenged him. I say, what prospects have we got doing after learning a trade? I only know of three major trades at the time that were available: the electrical, the mechanical, and one other. Construction, I think. Marine construction, that is. So I see my neighbors' dads and all that, they're all same, like my dad, Peter's trade would be about their maximum of the scale. And to go beyond that, you need to be a little bit extra in the eyes of the white side. So I didn't quite enjoy that.
Right. So did you actually go through the dockyard apprenticeship scheme? You did.
I went for the exam.
Oh, you went for the exam. Okay. And
I went for the aptitude test.
But you decided to fail it.
Yeah. And my dad said, how come your friend passed and you fail? I said, I don't know.
Yeah, because I thought that it's just a matter of where you will be ranked, right? And what kind of trade you will go into.
Yeah.
Did anyone actually fail it besides you?
I don't know. I don't know.
So you are a really interesting guy, you didn't want to go to a grammar school, you didn't want to go to the trade school at the dockyard,
Um,
and
Yeah,
you wanted to
apprentice.
go into a technical school, right?
Yes.
So the technical school in your mind was different from those three trades. It offered more opportunities.
I really didn't know about that. I was
Okay.
none the wiser. I was none the wiser. I only wanted to explore what is technical school and what they teach,
Mm.
in terms of technical studies.
Yeah, because in 1960, the push for technical education was not quite there yet, right? Only
No,
in
not yet.
1968, the Ministry of Education split, and then there was the Department of Technical Education that was formed. So only
And
after
also the
Singapore's
term,
independence, yeah.
yeah, and then the term white collar, blue collar all came about at about that time as well.
Ah,
We didn't know what was a blue collar. Nobody used that term those days, and white collar, like
no?
the
Mm.
ones in the clerical, service.
Did your father was a fitter, right? Was he a fitter?
In the grade, yes, he's a feeder, but he was working in a foundry.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
What do you think about technical education? Do you have any
He wasn't
thoughts?
against it.
Mm.
In fact, for that reason, he asked me to join the apprenticeship scheme, you see. In fact, he told me, he said, there's a Chinese saying, if you hold a trade, you'll never die of hunger. So I said, let's see.
Do you know how to say it?
Not really now. Lost it.
Well, you guys are Cantonese.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he said it in Cantonese, right?
Mm.
That's a very interesting saying. Yeah, yeah. So I guess in your time, it was still maybe there's a change happening, but a lot of the sons, right, would follow the father into the trade.
Quite often, yes.
Mm-mm. Your
Quite
brothers
often.
did, right? Your brothers.
I don't know whether he followed or it was forced. I was told, I didn't really get a confirmation that my grandfather was also in the same department as my father was and my brother is. So that kind of a generational thing. So I don't know. My eldest brother got pulled in. My second brother skipped that.
Uh,
My eldest brother got caught into following the father in the trade.
how much is the age gap between you and your eldest brother?
Close to 10 years.
Yeah, so maybe in this 10 years that have been changing, right? You escaped it, and was it your younger brother or older brother also escaped it?
Older. I'm the youngest of the boys,
Okay,
so
okay,
all of them are older. Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, the dynamics are changing, right, at the time.
right. Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
You found out where the school was, and you
No,
remember
my
your.
eldest brother helped me.
Okay.
My eldest brother helped me
Yeah.
only to realize that on the day to know where the school is, I found out that these two neighbors were in the same school. I said, "How come you never tell me that you're in that school so I can follow you guys?" Now from tomorrow you can follow us.
Sorry. How did you get there?
We had to take two buses,
Mm.
as two bus services, as I understand. So during the school holidays, December, we didn't explore. We only went there on my first day of school. So it was totally raw and the feeling. Early in the morning, I never got up that early before. So about 5:30, 6 o'clock, got myself ready and get to the bus stop with my brother.
Mm.
So there I met, like I said, these two neighbors who were in the same school. So we went down. And those days we never had the opportunity or the frequent trips into town. So taking the bus for the first time and a journey that long, almost an hour to reach town before I could get a bus transfer or a change.
I
It
mean,
was
could could
really
could you describe the routes? How what was the first service that you took?
the first service started from outside the Naval Base
Mm.
along Sembawang Road. This bus service, I think there were three services going into the city, and operated by the private company called Tekoyat Bus Company. We have they provide 3 bus services, ending at one common terminus in Beach Road, but different termini at the other end. We bought the bus outside Naval Base at Sembawang Road, along Sembawang Road, and then that bus takes us through down to Thompson Road, Upper Thompson Road, all the way down to the city, to Bukit Timah Road, Rex, go past Rex into Bencoolen Street and to Middle Road before it hits Beach Road, which was the terminus. So to go to school, I have to alight along Middle Road, cross over to Victoria Street to take that bus service operated by the STC, Singapore Traction Company, to take us to school. We have 2 bus services along Victoria Street that took us there. Bus service number 15 and bus service number 20 that took us there. Yes, those days with the old-fashioned bus with a single door of both egress and ingress, the bus is actually chock-a-block. We hung by the windows and by the doors to school.
Oh, it was completely full.
Always full, because there are a lot of users of the bus then, including students, stopping halfway along the way and things like that. It was interesting.
Actually,
so give me a little bit.
Yeah, actually, the 1 hour is not bad, considering that
One way, just before my connection.
You mean to Middle Road? It was 1 hour.
Almost 1 hour.
Okay, and then it's quite fast, right, to Tanjong Katong, relatively.
And from Victoria Street to Tanjong Katong would be about at least 20-25 minutes.
Yeah. In those days, there wasn't like a straight bus, right? That would go to the east. Yeah.
No, they have to have a connecting bus. And different private operators run their own routes, like Green Bus, Changi, Bedok, and Hockley and everybody else. So they want a share of the routes as well as.
Was there a difference, right? Because STC was a public bus service. Was there a difference between the private guys, the Chinese guys, and the STC, the kind of buses and bus service?
The buses are different between STC and the others. And STC, then I understood they were actually city-centered service. They have only a radius of, I think, about 5 miles, including the tram cars, the tram buses, the electric tram buses. So their service and operation is within the city limits of 5-mile radius. So the rest of the island is operated by all these other small companies. Small ones like Keppel Bus Service and all that. Including in Naval Base, we have a little small Naval Base bus service.
Okay, enough distraction and diversion. Tell us about your first day in the school.
Interesting. Yeah, we all were huddled into a school hall. I think I was in the morning session. I think we have at least 100 to 120 of us new secondary 1 or Form 2 students on that morning. And I can't exactly remember how we were shown into the different classes of A, B, C, and D. And somehow I got myself in the crowd of the B class, the second 40. I think they went, by age group, at the time. Just like when we went to primary school, we were all on the age group arrangement. The A class, the older boys and girls, B class, and so on, and the D class are the little babies. So I presume that happened for us first years. So somehow I was in what we then call Form 2B, or equivalent to Sec 1 these days. Our schooling system in secondary school in those times started with Form 2 to Form 5, as opposed to Secondary 1 to Sec 4. And then not long after settling in the class, I encountered another guy from, I don't know which other school. He had two buttons down of his shirt down, open chested, and he glared at me. I said, strange. Then he asked, why are you staring at me? I say, hey friend, I don't know you from anywhere before. I was just looking around, and how can you say I'm staring at you? He said, you want to fight? I said, oh. That was my first day, the first year. And he was already red in the face. I said, this guy's must be a very hot guy. You know? So somehow I evaded the conversation and talked with him and avoided him. And after that, I didn't see him again in the class, or I don't know whether he was again, we were reshuffled again or not, I'm not sure. But that was my first encounter, and I still remember it today, 60 over years later.
You never had such a thing in the Naval Base? Huh?
No, we had a fight. I had a fight with two of my other classmates in primary 2. These two guys were actually our neighbors and friends. I don't know how these two guys gang up. In fact, they had gang up to fight a senior group in the primary school sometime before. And this time, the same two guys gang up to fight me and two other friends, 3 of us. So I told my 2 other friends, you stay in the classroom while I go out, to meet them. And these two guys actually combined the boys of 2 classes, the primary 1 and primary 2, primary 1A and 1B class. Yeah, these 2 guys, he somehow marshaled the boys from the A class, primary 1A class, and the boys in my class, the 2B class, and chased me around the school. So I ran into the school field, which is a bigger area, and suddenly I found myself over swarmed by these 2 classes of boys. So the next thing I did was I dashed and ran out of the school via the school fence. So I went back home and then called up my afternoon school friends. I say, hey, you guys, come give me a hand. He said, why? He said, I'm being attacked. I didn't go back home to tell my parents, I went back to look for my friends for help. So my friends came, and then we started fighting with tapioca sticks and everything else in the school field. And then the girls saw what happened. After recess, informed the form teachers. So this form teacher of ours in primary 2, then line us all up before we get back into the class. And he singled out the 2 guys out and asked the witnesses, were these 2 attacking Chan Peew in the school field? They said, yes. So he called me forward. He said, are these 2 guys attack you? I said, the whole lot. So he said, no, I just call the 2 guys out. And he said, now it's your turn to take over. You give each one a tight slap.
What? Who said that?
For their punishment.
Who said that? The principal?
No, my school, our form teacher.
Your form teacher?
Yeah. Because the girls witnessed the situation, complained out, informed the teacher, and that happened. So I gave these 2 guys a slap each, and then we all marched back to our respective classes.
It's almost like from a movie,
Yes. Fights like that, my parents never knew. I didn't tell my parents that I had a school fight like that.
Right.
And if it's today, I think everybody in town and in the city will be alerted.
Pew, what was your primary school?
Canberra School, yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you a bit later, but maybe we're kind of jumping ahead a bit. Do you think there was a difference in the education and teaching between like a school in the Naval Base and a public school outside?
I have no experience of the schools outside, but basically we had a full school inside the Naval Base called the Admiralty Asian school, which catered for both primary and secondary. And their teachers, local and also, I think, some expats. This spilled over into Canberra School when we went to school in the early 50s. I was in school in 1954.
Yeah.
So we had, in fact, an English teacher, a lady teacher who was teaching us as well. So I don't know whether the schools elsewhere have got this kind of influence or not. And we were then under the British colony, we were introduced, continue to use the English thing, sing God Save the Queen and all the rest of the things, and learn all the English and British nursery rhymes and everything else.
Yeah, because when you went to Tanjong Katong, it was at the threshold already, right? We become a self-governing country, and so you wouldn't be singing God Save. Were you still singing that? 1950, 1960?
I think we were still, I think.
Yeah, right. Because you're still under British, right? In 1950,
yes,
1960.
I think,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We still have the British governor then.
Yeah, so I was just thinking if the Naval Base administration, the Admiralty, had any kind of influence, right, in running the school. Besides the teachers, you mentioned some of the expat teachers, which would not be the case in the school, in the town or outside, like Tanjong Katong. So was there any kind of difference in the teaching? Do you feel
again? I would too young to know that and understand that.
Okay, good.
Because and then I got no friends to compare notes with, although there were one or two primary school outside the Naval Base. One was Sembawang School, Sembawang Primary School, which is near the Chai Kee village, I think about a mile or two away from Naval Base. And then there was one by the end of the Sembawang Road in Andrews Avenue. There was another one. So I've got no friends in those schools, and we never able to compare.
Let me show you maybe now some photographs. This is the MOE Heritage Center website. And they have some photos of the old school. Was this the campus you went to?
Yes. The principal's office is just below that archway, as or if you want to call that an archway.
Yes.
And then the common room is just, I think, not far from where the car is parked.
Right. I mean, it's got the very characteristic 1950s, kind of structure, right? Low rise, compared to the schools that came later in the 60s. So in your time, it was a boys' school, was it?
Yes.
So these are the principals. So in your time, it will still be the same one when they went co-ed. Is Mr. N. Vaithinathan. That was your principal.
Yes.
You remember him?
Oh, he's a character.
He's a character. Tell us.
He's in his day-to-day, Monday to Fridays, he's always in white and white, black shoes, long stockings, and I observed his habit was, besides the occasional patrolling of the school premises during school hours, he will be patrolling the school definitely every recess time with a cane in his forearm.
With a cane?
With a cane in his forearm.
So, no doubt what he was planning to do, right?
Yes. So we can, if we smell or see him from a distance, we disappear from his sight. Because we can be playing rough, and he can somehow sense it is not just rough play, it is going into a fight. And that's why he will pick us up. There and then, he will strap us. If not, he call an assembly. If he's serious enough, call an assembly, and then bring the guys for discipline in front of the whole school.
Mm.
So he is very, very much a school disciplinarian.
Mm.
And I think he's also very rich in heart for a lot of the kids.
Why do you say
And
that?
with him, he has two senior masters for the school, and they're equally strict in discipline. Because those days, the triads and the gangs were still very active, both in and outside school. So he has to actually try to sieve or filter out these bad heads that might influence the other kids. We were strictly told our dress code, even for boys. Those days, drain pipes were the day of fashion. Boys would be very tight-fitting shorts, you know. I don't know if you have seen that before. Just like today's those elastic pants. We'll get to the tailors and tell the tailors to taper it down to our thighs from the hips. So we make it very tight fitting. If it's long pants, it's totally a drain pipe style right to your ankles.
That was the fashion of the 50s and 60s.
And of the gangs as well.
Okay.
And with the gangs of the 329s, the 08, the 24s, and what have you, you know.
So do you mean some of the students were actually gang members?
I'm not surprised, yes. In fact, some of our boys are always involved inter-school fights. They visit the other neighboring schools, I think vying for the girls in the neighborhood, the neighbor schools. Like we had two girls' schools, I think there's secondary, the Katong Convent and the St. Hilda's. So you got nearby St. Patrick's, Siglap boys and everybody around. And then you got the Chinese Chongqing and all that. And Chongqing then were, I think, a co-ed school. So there are a few girls around for us. And in our namesake girls' school, Tanjong Katong Girls' School next door. So guys from different schools will come and poach our girls. We boys will poach the girls from the other side, you know. Chuchet and all that, Katong Convent and St. Hilda's. So end up the boys were fighting one another, and I believe there was some gang support behind all this, because two of my classmates always found involved in fights or get bashed elsewhere and come back to the school. Two of my classmates, they're tough nuts, recalcitrants. Never say die.
Did you ever see some of these gang members, like outsiders, you know, outside the school? They come down to the school and, you know, try to make trouble or recruit people?
No, we haven't got those. We don't see that. And some of the two guys who involved in fights regularly, I think, in my suspicion, they are being supported by some gangs. The others, they can't be so bold and so courageous, as it were, you know.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like also the school rivalry. When you have schools that are close to each other, it does something to the boys, right?
Yes.
So what was there any perception, like, you know, the Tanjong Katong technical boys? How do you see the St. Patrick's and the Chongqings?
Always in enmity, sort of, you know, because of sports as well, you know, the performance, inter-school events and things like that. Instead of a very cordial meet, and end up also some, like what you see today or read today, you know, fights between rival fans and things like that. So we have the same thing way before that.
Talking about sports, was Tanjong Katong good in some sports?
In fact, yes, we were strong in football, swimming, and table tennis. I think our boys, 1 year or two, beat the holders at Chongqing. They were the holders in the Katong district. And they got very troubled by our standards. And so created some rivalry that way. We have 1 or 2 young badminton juniors in these. I think this guy qualified for the national age group, I think. guy called Gan Kok Ping, I think. I think he was in the Nationals Junior.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the principal. So there was quite strict discipline throughout the school, down to the teachers at the school.
Yes.
Do you feel, I mean, now that you're much older, do you feel that this was kind of justified, right? These boys need to be handled strictly and strongly.
Yeah. Like I said, it was good that we were all kept in the straight and narrow to a certain extent. Left to our devices, we would have gone very, very crazy as well. Those days, compared to what I hear from of teachers today, these teachers were free and easy to use their fists on us, raps on the head, pinch on the ear, or you know. So we all get all these physical punishments, and nobody complained. Nobody tell the parents.
Yeah, you wouldn't
In fact,
complain
if
to
we
your
tell our
parents,
parents,
right? They
we
also
get
whack
another
you, right?
whacking. Yeah, because of why did the teacher, punish you for what? Must be for some mischief. So it's better to be quiet. So next time when you go back to the class, you just don't repeat. Like with one of my teachers who still I'm communicating with, Mr. Robinson, having known his tactics of teaching and approaching students. So for his lessons, I always prepare in advance. So each time he asks a question, I'll raise my hand, give him an answer. And I did it so often that he refused to see me. He refused to call me because he knew I was prepared. And that's how we get to know our style of teachers teaching and things like that. And yeah, he's another interesting strict disciplinarian himself, Mr. Robinson.
Okay. So this is quite interesting. You introduced Samuel Robinson, right? S.T. Robinson
Yes.
to me. And he is now in his 80s, or am I right?
90s already.
90s. Okay.
Yes.
And I think he's still living in that area of Singapore.
Yes.
What did he teach you?
Chemistry and physics.
So even a chemistry physics teacher was quite a disciplinarian. No nonsense.
Yes. And he was, when he comes to class for his lessons, he enters the class either from the front door or the back door. So he comes very silent. And the moment he steps into the class, he'll call out a name and and ask for definitions of, scientific terms, define this, define that, So I learned all my definitions almost by heart. Each time he asks one, I carry out my hand and say, he sees my hand very frequent. He doesn't want to call me anymore after that.
Yeah, he knows you're all right.
And I'm all right because I'm kept, in close contact. Otherwise, you get a rap on the head and a pinch or something, you see.
Tell us about his teaching. Was he an effective teacher?
That's good. He's good that way. Yeah, he's good. And he explains and he takes us through into the science labs and everything else, He's been a great teacher that way, except that many of us at the time didn't want to pay too much attention.
Right. Let's look at your photos. So this is the school photo, right? You showed.
Yes, this is yeah.
Yeah. So we saw the front building, and what's the opposite to it? That's some of the classrooms, is it?
This is the one in front. On the right is the school block.
Yes.
Opposite that is a school field, and behind that is the school laboratories. The workshops are on the hidden side of this teaching block.
On the left side or right side?
On the right side,
behind
the workshop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the workshops in your time, they were like only about 4 years old, right? They were pretty new.
Yes, and all the machines, all the lathes, and all the other machines in the workshop were all pretty new. Yeah. The woodwork class, they had their own woodwork machines and lathes. As we were in the metalwork, we had our own metalwork machines and things like that.
I mean, I don't know if you went back to the school later, but I don't know if they kept the Did they preserve the workshops after the school was converted into a normal school?
No, I didn't go back to the premises. This premise after the leaving school. The one I went to was when they have relocated along Dunman Road already.
Yes. Let me see. They moved to Hague Road. Is that right? In 1996.
Dunman or Hague Road. Yeah.
Okay.
Just behind it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I don't know. Are the buildings still around? Are these buildings still around?
I'm not sure. I haven't been back there that way.
Okay. So now you can see the name has changed, right? Now it's secondary school.
Yes. Yeah. Technical is dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise still looks quite similar to your time.
Yes. Very much so.
This is where... So you told me you're here.
Yeah.
You have a very prominent head.
Yes. I was called by my other senior master and geography teacher, a Queen's Guard.
A Queen's Guard. What does that mean?
With a high...
Okay. You didn't need that thing, huh?
I don't need that.
You were born with it.
Yeah.
So what secondary was this? Was this a bit later or earlier?
Our last year, secondary 4.
Okay. And who was the teacher?
Mr. Cho, I think. CHO.
Oh, you mean him? The one in the tie?
The fourth from the right. The other two are the classmates, prefects.
Okay. And this gentleman, he's Indian, right?
That's the principal, Vaithinathan.
Okay. Got it. He does look quite fierce.
And the guy, while you're on this photo, the guy seated fourth from the left.
Yeah.
The Indian boy, the prefect. His brother was our senior schoolmaster.
Wow.
His older brother was senior schoolmaster. Yeah.
I mean, the photo is quite good, actually. I mean, the boys they are not just frozen, right? They really do show some of their character.
Yeah.
This guy over here, there is is there a Malay student here at the corner?
Next to me on my right, there's one. There's a friend I still contact with today, Salamat. And I think I have 1 or 2 other Malay student friends.
Not too many.
That guy who, in the middle row, second from the left, standing middle row, second from left, he was unfortunate to meet with I think a bus accident and got killed in 1964, I think.
Okay. He died quite young.
Yes.
I mean,
this other guy who's seated second from right, he just passed away 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Would it be right, just looking at some of the heights of the boys and maybe their faces, some of them were kind of overage, right?
Maybe so.
Yeah, because of the war, I guess. I mean, the boys at the back.
Also, the registration of the primary school years, I think, delayed them a little bit as well.
Well, most of your classmates from the Tanjong Katong area or all over the place?
We are all over the places. We are from all over the places.
And this your form teacher, any memories of it? What's his name again?
I think Cho, CHO. He's a relief teacher, actually. He came as a relief teacher.
Some of the boys are in shorts. Some are in
prefects are in the long pants. The rest of us are all in shorts.
Okay. This is this an earlier photo?
This is the earlier photo, I think, when we were in Sec 2 or Form 3 at the time.
I mean, look at your principal. He's the most fashionable guy there.
Yeah, always white and white with his long stockings, you know.
He's actually going around in shorts.
Yeah, that's his uniform in school. He shows us by example, you see.
And he can wear sunglasses.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is quite interesting because actually the principal takes the photograph with the class. Right? In my time, we no longer do this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is your form teacher now?
Mr. Robinson, that's him.
Okay. Wow, he's really young
You
at
see
the time.
To the left of the principal?
Really young at the time, yeah? Youthful.
Mm.
Okay. So did the whole class move together?
In
Get
no, no,
promoted
no,
together?
no. A
Mm.
split.
Uh,
We all got split again
okay.
because they take. I think the around the school standard that those days. I think they show the first 40, the second 40, the third 40s into different classes, A, B, C, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, the photos are always very enlightening, right? Like some things, social facts you can see from them. Like, I
Mm.
mean, is this you? Where are you?
I'm at the back row.
Back row. Ah, okay, here.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah,
Okay, okay. So,
they can pick me quite easily.
maybe like one third of the class is wearing glasses,
Yes,
right? Including you, lah, right?
right.
But not the others. The others seem to be and quite all right in their eyesight. And most of the boys look quite fit, and there isn't a problem of obesity.
That time we can't hardly can afford a meal.
Yeah, but the boys look quite well built, most of them, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
bad, not bad.
Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, not
some
not
of
like
us are.
very skinny or very fat, right?
Mm. And I'm not sure whether you're going to share this on the podcast, but in passing, I would like to make mention of a few of my classmates.
Yeah, go ahead.
Standing on my right on the back row there,
Next
if
to
I look at him again,
next to you.
he was the late president of the Singapore Taekwondo Association,
Ah,
Milan Kui.
Milan Kui.
He was the president for a long time of the Taekwondo Association. The other one I want to make mention is perhaps standing in the middle row, second from the left. That guy is the Lam Chang construction boss today,
Wow, wow. So he has done
Raymond
well.
Raymond Lam,
That is his family business, is that right?
started by the father.
Okay.
And then the guy in a jacket,
Mm.
the prefect of the class, he made himself a millionaire at 28.
What did he
And he
do?
was in that zip manufacturing business. Zippers.
Yes.
He was one day when I met him here in New Zealand. He told me, he said, "Can you imagine how many zippers or zips are being used?" He said, "Those days we were producing them. Not only clothing, everything else that requires a zip to zip it up, your wallets, your luggage bags. So his company was producing it, and
Any
after that he sold the business." Yeah,
any memories of the Malay boys or the Indian boys?
Malay boy, the one immediately standing behind the principal. There's Shukri,
Mm.
and the one seated extreme left front row, Mustafa. I think I had another guy, Hamza, somewhere, or he's not in this class. Yeah, this was the year where we were talking about apprentices earlier. Two of them went to the apprenticeship.
Okay.
They finished the school in this year. The one standing behind the form teacher, Mr. Robinson, the tall guy,
Yeah.
Hui Kwan, and then the guy standing next to the Lam Chang boss on his right, Richard Chung.
So they went to the dockyard apprenticeship scheme.
They joined the dockyard apprenticeship.
Right. Can you explain to us, right? Like what was the pathway? So after you finished the is that the O levels?
This one when we were only about 15 or 16 only.
Yeah.
Secondary 2.
So you mean they didn't
Form 3.
finish? They went straight
They
to
didn't.
okay.
They didn't finish the O level. They finished the O level through the Dockyard Technical College because they also did some academic subjects for the British O levels.
Yeah.
So they studied the same syllabus, and then they took the Singapore Senior Cambridge schools.
So can I ask you, right? Like, so if you finish your O levels and you have metalwork and woodwork and all that, what would be next if you wanted to continue in the technical line? Can you go out to work already, or would you need to go for further VITB or something?
We can actually go out to work. There's no requirement, but most of the guys who will have chosen the Singapore Polytech studies, like this guy who's seated on the front row on the right, extreme right, this Han, he went to Poly and then he graduated in marine engineering.
Okay.
And he became one of the ship repair managers based in Sembawang Shipyard.
So the pathway was quite clear, like you can actually go into the polytechnic education, and that means he became like because what did you say he did? Was he an engineer or technician?
He became a marine engineer.
Right. Okay.
And then he was in his experience, he became a ship repair manager representing the ship owners for the vessels refitting or repairs. He will be coordinating the works between the shipyard and the owners.
Yeah. So
and the other guy standing on the last row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. A shorter guy with a very fair face around it, Tim Gyokpo. He became a pilot at the Port Authority of Singapore.
Okay. The marine pilot, right?
Marine pilot, berthing the incoming vessels.
So that shows the achievements of the technical education in that sense, right?
Yes,
that
and
you
the
had
different
people,
aspects of it.
Of course, you didn't go that route, yeah?
No, I went back to the administrative.